Alabama is a state you rarely hear about on the presidential campaign trail. Its soul is deep, deep red. Hasn't seen a Democrat win here since Jimmy Carter in '76. Yet now, suddenly, it's the talk of the town. Next month's Senate election to replace Jeff Sessions, now Attorney General, is one of the weirdest races anyone's ever seen. And it poses the bigger question, has the election of Donald Trump a year ago created a new normal for America? Evening rush hour in Selma, Alabama, is a gentle affair. No queues, no jams, but the noise when it comes is passionate. They're trying to get out the black vote for the Alabama Senate race next month, telling those willing to wind down the window how critical it is.
One vote, sir, can make a difference. One vote can save lives, okay? Vote or die.
Fire Rose Torre was Alabama's first black female judge.
Vote or die! We believe that December the 12th is a life and death election. We truly believe, and statistics show, that one vote can make a difference. Vote or die! Vote or die!
Selma's a birthplace of the civil rights movement. It was here in 1965 that Martin Luther King led demonstrators demanding suffrage on the 50-mile march into the state capitol. On this bridge, they were beaten back like dogs by state troopers, violence sanctioned by Selma's mayor and governor. The bridge was named after the Confederate general, Ku Klux Klan leader, and yes, Democratic Senator Edmund Pettus, responsible for taking away the vote of black men in 1902. The fact it still bears his name, says Fire, is a reminder this is not a past struggle, but a very living one.
What we're trying to get people to understand that the people who support the Trump agenda will be running on December the 12th, but will be running next year, and that it's extremely important that you stop all the president's men, because he cannot carry forth this agenda without them.
Hey, that judge?
She will not say his name, but she means this man, Republican candidate for Senate, Roy Moore.
Our foundation has been shaken. Crime, corruption, immorality, abortion, sodomy, sexual perversion sweep our land.
We're not doing interviews right now.
He's called for gay sex to be illegal, claimed parts of America already live under Sharia law. He believed Obama was a Muslim who wasn't US born.
Read my article and you'll find out what I believe.
Doug Jones is Moore's Democratic rival in the race. He's known for being soft-spoken, but when I meet him, he doesn't hold back.
What I think people in this country worry about is that Roy Moore will be the foreshadow of things to come. I think he divides people by race. I think he divides people by religion. I think he divides people by your sexual orientation. Unless you're a part of the population that he's okay with, he thinks you're a second-class citizen.
Roy Moore is one of half a dozen candidates for Senate, now backed by the former White House strategist Steve Bannon, the man nicknamed the brain behind Trump, the rump of the ideological right.
And you're going to see in state after state after state, people that follow the model of Judge Moore, that do not need to raise money from the elites, from the crony capitalists, from the fat cats in Washington, D.C., New York City, Silicon Valley.
A year on from the election of Donald Trump, we've all still got a lot of figuring out to do. Has he reset politics in his image? Will there be a major backlash to his style of governing? Or perhaps the question we're in town today to ask, has he and those who've helped him to power paved the way for a more extreme version of mainstream politics than America, yes, even here in the Deep South, has ever imagined? Is the future of the Republican Party now for characters who will make Donald Trump himself seem rather moderate? The Alabama state symbol could be the pickup truck, and in Roy Moore's hometown of Gallant, we stumble upon his nephew Steve, whose own license plate tells of his twin loves, trucking and Trump. So do you think Trump's draining the swamp? The whole idea was he came to Washington to drain the swamp. Do you think that's happening?
I do. I hope he continues. I hope he fires them all.
In what sense? Who would you like to see cleared out?
All of them that don't agree with Trump.
A dozen or so members of the Moore family still live here, but But down the road we find one lone voice of dissent. Charles, a long-time military man, reminds me Roy Moore has twice been forced to stand down from political office. He invites me in to share his views of Alabama and then his views of Alabama.
I've traveled a lot. I spent a lot of time overseas, but the opinion of most people that any distance from Alabama we're ignorant and prejudiced, and most of it's justified, I think.
You really believe that?
Yes.
And does he exemplify that?
He preys on it. Now, he's well educated in law. Now, he's West Point graduate, so he's well educated, but I think professional politician, I think, tells the people what he thinks they want to hear, and once he's in office, then he can do, to a degree, what he wants to. But
they still like their Confederate statues here in Dixie. Moore's views may not be so wild to those who live here.
Roy Moore is not a racist, and Roy Moore is not homophobic, and he's not someone who, in any way, could be seen as anything less than what we would be proud of as a U.S. Senator.
As we get ready to leave the Deep South, news comes of a gubernatorial win for Democrats in Virginia against a moderate establishment Republican. Alabama will be the next big race. Roy Moore's expecting an easy win. So is that what the Republican Party will look like next? The work of Trump may be almost done. Steve Bannon's has barely begun.